Today, I'm going to show you how to draw your very own big mouth monster. Let's get started. To begin our monsters, we need to fold our paper in half, hamburger style, or shortways. I'm making sure to crease the edge of my paper nice and flat. Then I will take the bottom edge of my folded paper and fold it back up to the center fold. This forms the base for both our small monster and the large inside part of his mouth. Now we can begin drawing. You might want to make a few practice sketches before you draw the real thing. Me, I'm just going to go for it. Notice how I am using that middle fold for my monster's mouth. This is a very important step for later. As long as you include your monster's mouth along that center fold, anything else you add to your design will work a-okay. So experiment with lots of different kinds of facial features. Here you can see that I didn't really like the 4-eye design, so I erased my light lines and decided to add only 3 eyes. Even though I gave my monster 3 eyes, I think I'm going to add just 1 unibrow at the top. I am going to continue adding some details as well as the body of my monster. You could choose to either follow along with me or make something that is entirely your own. It's completely up to you. I personally like to add lots of little details because it makes my work much more interesting in the end. Even adding just simple patterns within your larger shapes can really bring your work to life. I need to make sure that my monster's body lines up correctly with his head. This is especially important for later when we draw the center opening of our monster's mouth. From there, however, you can be completely creative and make feet, tentacles, maybe even just a blobby shape for his body. I decided to just go with 2 feet, complete with sharp talons at the end, and later a long tail. I decided adding another small area for his belly added a bit more visual interest. Now it's time to trace. I'm using my trusty Sharpie and Flair pen, but you can use whatever you have on hand. I use my Sharpie and Flair pen to create different line weights or thicknesses of my lines. This makes my piece more visually interesting, giving it some variety. If you look at any comic, anime, or manga, you will notice that those artists also use a variety of line weights. Once I finish outlining my monster's tiny body, I can unfold my paper and begin designing his big, wide mouth. I am going to put my video into super speed mode as I finish touching up my final line work. I'm also going to sketch in a tail because I felt that that bottom area beneath my monster needed a little bit more design. Now we're ready to unfold our work and draw our monster's big mouth inside. Notice how I am making sure to connect the part of my monster's head to the bottom part of his body. This is incredibly important because if things don't line up, my monster won't look right. From there, however, you can add any details you want. I decided to start with a tongue and then add some super sharp teeth. I also included a gum line to make my monster look a little bit more realistic and ferocious. But let's face it, even with his giant mouth, he just doesn't look very tough. So I guess I'm really making more of a friendly monster. You can make your monster as happy or beautiful or as ferocious and scary as you'd like. It's completely up to you. Since my monster's mouth is so wide, I made it appear as if you could view all the way to the back of his throat. Now, I just need to add that top layer of sharp teeth, which will mimic my bottom layer of teeth. I'm going to add a few extra details, such as wings and hands. You could also add these things, or maybe a tail in this area, or even maybe make your monster holding something. I don't have much room left on my paper, so I decided to make some tiny little T-Rex arms for my monster, complete with sharp claws. I still felt like my monster was missing something, so I decided to give him a little snack. Hopefully, he likes cheeseburgers. And once again, it's time to outline and go over my pencil lines. I'll put my video back into super speed mode as I finish up. Now we are done. I think he looks pretty awesome, both as a cute little monster and a big giant one. Keeping my paper unfolded, I'm now going to add my base layer of color in super speed mode. You could stop at this step and your monster would look great. However, I'm going to continue shading and blending. I suggest that you follow along and give it a try. It'll make your monster look more 3D. I'm going to begin shading my monster's teeth with a light, medium, and dark gray. It's hard to see here, but I'm keeping the center portion of each tooth completely white. This will act as my highlight, or the lightest part of my object. I will then move the value, or the lightness and the darkness of each tooth, from the lightest portion in the center to the most shadowed portion on the edges. This will make each tooth look three-dimensional, or like it exists in real space. Let's go ahead and finish up the top row of teeth as well. I'm now going to create value using the exact same steps, but this time with a light, medium, and dark red. I'll then go back with the dark gray later on the very edges of the inside of his mouth to create some deep dark shadow. Notice how in addition to varying my colors, I'm also varying the pressure with which I press my pencil. This also works to create shadow. I'm going to repeat these steps on each portion of my monster's body to make it look three-dimensional. As you can see, I'm now adding some final, really dark shadows to make my artwork really pop. Notice how I'm not overdoing this step. I don't want too much black or it will overpower the other colors. Finally, I'm going to add a light highlight in the center of his mouth. That's where the light would be hitting my monster in real life. Now with my camera in super speed mode, I'm going to finish up the inside of my monster's mouth. Now, using a selection of blues and greens, I'm going to build up the color in my monster's body. In addition to varying value, I can also use and blend a variety of colors to make my work more interesting. One really cool effect you could try is going over a darker color with a lighter version of that color or white. This is called burnishing, and it makes your work appear somewhat shiny. Adding a shadow next to your burnished area, like I'm doing here, really makes your piece look 3D. Now I'm going to finish coloring my monster in super speed mode. In reality, this took me about an hour, so take your time, there's no rush. And we're done. I cannot wait to see what big mouth monsters you create. Email me a picture of your monster to be entered into our raffle to choose our next drawing topic. See y'all soon. Bye!